Hi friends, MD Vegan. I make corn soup today. It's an easy one with a nice inlay. I begin with corn. I rather cut my corn from the cob, the fresh one, but in wintertime or in autumn I have only the frozen one usually, but it's always at home and it's always available, and it's even more inexpensive, the organic version even, very inexpensive. And it doesn't really matter if it's heated a little bit. It's a little bit blanched, I guess, like the peas, the sweet peas, they're frozen. But it doesn't really matter because not all the nutrients are really, can be destroyed by heat. Vitamin C, for example, but that's not why I eat corn. Corn has so many other health benefits, and I guess it's not a big problem. If you prefer the fresh one and you can get it, of course I always take it. But I have corn so much, and it's always super healthy and filling. Even in cold winter time, it's even better. It gets a lot of energy, and I prefer the corn before not having it. Okay, corn is the base for the soup. It's a corn soup, and I will blend it with a handful of cashew nuts. Yeah, that's one version. Yeah, you can use it like a milk, nut milk. If I put water on top of that, it turns into nut milk, and the cashew seeds are very soft. Yeah, you can even blend them then softer if you have a not so strong blender. But if you want to blend the corn, the whole corn, with a blender, you need a high power blender. Otherwise, you don't get them really soft. Yeah, they are pretty tough, and yeah, of course the sweet corn, but they're still pretty tough. And it takes a lot of time, even for the high-speed blenders, to make them really creamy. That's why also a reason why I would recommend high-speed blenders. Once a while, once you have decided to go with blending, maybe you begin with a €100, $100 blender, a small one, not a high-speed one, and you see what you can do with it in the daily kitchen every day. I can use it for smoothies and these kind of things, even make juices with it. It takes a little more time, but it's okay, you can with a filter. If you want to use, or dressings, if you want to use your blender, you find you like it more, then you can get a high-speed blender later. And then you have the cheaper one on stock. Yeah. Once the high-speed blender has to be repaired or so, you will never be without a blender when you have always the second one in reserve. So this is my high-speed blender. I'm very happy with it because it makes these wonderful creaminess, and creaminess that also means that the nutrients are fully available. Yeah, they get into the bloodstream so easy. Of course, you still have to digest it because they have the fiber. The fiber is the thing that cleanses the intestines and feeds the bacteria. All these things are very important, and that is only enhanced with the blender. So that's a very nice tool to have. Just a few recommendations about it, ideas about it. So this is what I put in the spices. I have 2 ingredients now in my soup until now, and here is a little pair of seasoning, another 3, a unit. So this will be the third part as whole. Salt, chili, and 1 garlic clove, not more. I begin with corn soup, and soups in general are a little bit more challenging than salads and salad dressings or smoothies, because in soups you have the big question of the texture always, and it has to be really delicious. Soups are all creamy, all one texture, and as opposed to the smoothies, you have even more, usually, more vegetables in the soups. Smoothies are usually more with fruit-based and soups with vegetables. But there is not a strong, strict determination between soup and smoothie. I wouldn't really say that's a strict. But this is a corn soup. Definitely will be a corn soup, I would say. I would not say it's a smoothie, so it's pretty similar. It comes from the blender. Yeah. But it is a smoothie, it is a soup, and the soups are a little bit more difficult to make. Yeah, a little delicious soup is a little bit because of the vegetables. The vegetables are not so easy to make into a nice food. Then fruit is super easy. Yeah? So that's a general thing. So if I have a difficult question, with a problem here, like a soup, I begin with the smallest amount of ingredient in a can, because that makes it easy to understand when something goes wrong. I taste the soup in the end, I say, it's not that perfect, so what can it be? How can I change it? And if I have only a small number of ingredients, I find easily how to change. Whereas if I have 10 or 15 ingredients, I don't know what it is. I'm confused. So that's why to begin with an easy one. And imagine you make the soup once and it doesn't work out. You make it for the first time, you try recipe for the first time, it doesn't work out immediately, you will have to make it again. And then, after the second time, you will say, but I don't want to eat that soup again. So you cannot do it 3 or 4 times, because then you don't want to eat it anymore, you want to have something else. So that is a problem you have to understand. If you want to make a recipe, you really have to understand to begin with the easiest way, in the easiest possible way to proceed, is important. Otherwise you will never end up making a recipe, actually. So it has to be easy in the beginning. Otherwise, too many problems will arise. So I put water in there. I begin with a small amount, because it just needs to be blendable. And then these firm ingredients, especially the corn, will take not so much time to blend. Without a lot of water in the beginning, the corn can flip away from the blades, and then you cannot blend it anymore. It takes more and more time to blend. So with a small amount of water, it's easy to begin, especially if you don't have a full high-speed blender. Then these kind of tricks are even more recommended. But even with a high-speed blender and corn, because it's so tough, as compared to, for example, let's say, I don't know, bell pepper rust, so that's very soft. With corn you take more time to blend anyway. So a little water in the beginning and then we go. Blender dance. Yeah, so much fun. Blender dance is so nice, and these high-speed blenders are wonderful. Oh, I see a nice texture here. I like it. It will firm up a little bit when it sits. The fragrance, wonderful. Corn, by the way, is a very nice produce to make recipes with, because you can use a lot of spices in there. Corn can take a lot of spices, so you don't need to be timid. Seasoning it with salt, chili, and garlic in this case, because the corn can take it really strong. That's something very good for a soup, for example. You can season it, get a strong flavor, a lot of spices, a lot of power in there, because spices also are very high in antioxidants. There is nothing, Dr. Greger recently has published a video about that, there is nothing as compared to spices and herbs in antioxidants. Nothing. Nothing comes close to that. So that's the good news. And if you put spices into the dish, you have more antioxidants, more power, more energy. That's a good thing. Food, that's what we need in the food. We want the energy for the body to be healthy and strong. So that's our texture. It's very nice. I like it as soup if it's not too thick. The flavor. So nice. I noticed just a little bit of salt, maybe a teaspoon, and a whole chili pepper, because of the corn, can't take it. A whole chili pepper, even with a little green on top, doesn't matter, it's organic. With the seeds inside, doesn't matter, very hot, corn can take it. And the garlic. 1 clove is enough, you can smell it evenly. The thing is, if you eat garlic, especially raw, it's a very strong ingredient, it's very super healthy. And it has also strong effects, everything. But if you take a small amount only, you don't even need to smell. You don't even need to smell after eating it, because if you smell it, once you smell it after eating, next day or so, you can almost say you have eaten too much of it. You only need a small amount, and combining it with other ingredients make it also easier to digest it or to incorporate it. So not too much garlic is necessary, especially if it is raw, because it's very powerful. And well, it's very delicious here. And I show you what I put inside the soup as an inlay, because this is the soup. I show you in a moment, and now I show you what I put inside to make it nicer, because I always like in a soup there's something in there. Not always, but oftentimes it's a nice way to, like this here. A nice, beautiful avocado, a ripe one. There's something brown, I'll take it out in a moment. And some corn, whole corn. And they are sweet and soft, so it's no problem. So I put just some corn inside my bowl. I have 2 portions here, maybe 3. So I take only a small amount of the corn and a small amount of the avocados as an inlay. Yeah. It's with the cold weather outside, it's easy to have more fat in the food because it keeps you warm, and more spices, and yeah, the strong carbohydrates from the corn, the starches, very healthy. That makes me all keep warm. Now, look at this wonderful creaminess. Isn't that a beautiful corn soup? I already love it. If you blend it a little bit longer, it turns warm, and it also turns a little bit foamy. And that's what we love. The chefs are very proud if they can manage to make a little bit creaminess, foaminess on the top of the soup. And you can see that, these little bubbles here, the small ones, that's a nice foam, and it makes it so much delight. Because when you have the foamy texture, you know that there's a huge surface in the liquid. And the huge surface means that gets everywhere on your taste buds. It tastes everything. Yeah? It's an explosion of taste, of flavor, with a little foam. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy. This is a wonderful soup. Maybe you like it too. If you like the video, thumbs up. Very nice. And probably subscribe and be vegan on YouTube. I have another recipe every single day. And you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter.